We are going to talk about books. I have been thinking about doing this for a while, talking about and reviewing books, critically appreciating books in a visual format because I already have a WordPress blog called Words and Visuals where I critically appreciate and talk about books and talk about what I'm feeling while reading these books and what these books make me feel. And what better to start with than Franz Kafka's The Trial? Now, if you've ever defied authority or had ever had a problem with authority, then you will love this piece of literature. Now, it is not very much about the defiance itself or rebelliousness, but the absurdity of authority or absurdity of rules and regulations bestowed upon us. The trial talks about this character called Joseph K, who is under open arrest, and there is no knowledge about what he is accused of or why he has a case against him in the court of law. What's happening is that there is a lot of confusion and there's a lot of chaos and conflict, and it actually reads like a fever dream. There are instances where nothing really makes sense. There are instances where you are following one thing and suddenly it absolutely changes. Where there is one scene where the main character is walking towards a building, which is the court, but suddenly it becomes a housing apartment complex where there are children running around and everything. And then after a while, when the character Joseph, he's looking for the courtroom that he has to go to, he comes across a lady washing clothes and inside the apartment complex, right? And she guides him to this court where a lot of people are just standing waiting for him. And as soon as he enters, the the lawyers and everyone are just looking at him in a very astounded way. And the judge tells him that you're 1 hour late, and he's like, I'm here. So there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of ridiculousness. You'll get a smile on your face when you're reading it, but you'll also be scratching your head, definitely, because I was doing that multiple times. And you have to go back a couple of pages just to make sure that you didn't miss anything or you did not pay attention or anything. The trial talks about how we are burdened by these made up situations in our life, and how hours and days and weeks and months and years are just, we're just spending all of this time trying to fix that problem where we can just try to be okay with it and move on and just keep it aside. And there is one thing that I wrote when I read this book. So I'll say it out, I'll read it out. Once there was a 13-year-old who asked for things and permissions and looked up to regulations. The boy was told to comply, to listen, and to not ask why. He grew up being compliant, never asking why, but burying a million questions inside. At 16, the boy saw another side. He came across more poetry, literature, revolution, and all of them had stories of courage, of bravery, of time, and freeing from the shackles of slavery. Crawling back to the rules, he made the mistake of asking why, when the answer was, you are just a child. He searched and searched, trying to get by. He lived alone while living with people side by side. And then there was frustration, and he finally realized authority is just a device, something just to make me comply. It makes no sense, it has no head. All it is shackles, and why should it stop me? Why? So he decided to speak, to not be silent. He ensured that there would be an outcry. And that outcry is exactly what the trial is. I think this is one of the greatest piece of literature that I have read in a couple of years, just because of how ridiculous it is when it comes to storytelling and storyline, and still makes so much of an impact on the reader. There is also this another thing where Franz Kafka is writing his main character as himself. He is projecting his characteristics, his cravings, his needs, his vision of himself into this character. All the other characters are a temporary piece of puzzle that fit in just for a little while and fit in very well. But as soon as you remove it, Joseph K is a puzzle in himself, and the story is a larger puzzle that will not be solved. But it's definitely a lovely read. What do you guys think about this book? Let me know in the comments. And do you think I should review such more books? Do you like this format? Do you have any suggestions or feedback for me? Do let me know in the comments.